Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon. This is the Onealien Show. Again, I'm here once again back. Your host, John O'Neill. I wanted to start off this show today by thanking everyone. Last week's show, the kickoff show, the launch was awesome. And as we wrapped it all up and packaged it and sent it all out, I had so many people who responded and with positive feedback, with honest feedback, and quite frankly, a lot of people who could relate to certain aspects of the show. So that is the goal here at the Onealien Show is to have pieces that you could relate to and things that we could help each other grow and become better at anything that we're doing. Does that make sense? So we're here today, and I have brought in a couple special guests to introduce you to. Before I swing it and we bring them on, I want to kind of just set the tone just a little bit. A few years ago when I started a couple of the businesses that I started, I had a mantra, I had a motto, and the motto, the tagline was restoration and redemption. And the reason why that was important to me is because as I extend my hand to help people, as I build businesses and things around that are designed to help people, restoration was important to me, because a lot of times in life when we fall away, a lot of times when hiccups are happening or when we're not performing to our best self, we tend to sometimes fall into that trap of doubting where we're going, or doubting our direction, or doubting any of those things. And so we're here to remove that doubt. We're here to say that you can be restored. There is processes, there is help around you, there's support around you to restore you back to your original form, your original best self, right? And redemption means that you're valuable no matter what, regardless of what you're going through, or regardless of what's happening in your life, the circumstances or the poor choices that you've made, or things that are crumbling in the economy, or no matter what is going on, it doesn't take away from your inner value and who you really are. And so that's what redemption is. We want to bring you back. We want to redeem you to your original purpose. Does that make sense? So today I've got two people with me, and I'm calling them restoration and redemption. I've given them that tagline, and that's not their full names, but that's the tagline we're going to use for them, because they represent what my vision, and they represent what I set out to do in the beginning. These are two. They're two people that I respect so much. They're two people that are going to share their story. So I'm going to be quiet here in a second, but they're two people, man, that just mean a lot to me in my life, right? I told you, I'm going to bring my friends. I'm going to bring people who have added something to my life to share with you, because if they added something to my life, perhaps we can, through synergy and through some momentum, maybe give you something to uplift you in your life as well. So without further ado, let's swing over, and I'm going to introduce first Randy Suniga. He is what I'm calling restoration, because Randy has an amazing story, and with Randy is Jensen. Say your last name.
Nasafote.
Nasafote. Thank you. Jensen Nasafote. Randy and Jensen are good friends of mine. They came a couple years ago. It's almost 3 years ago for Randy and 2 for Jensen. And they came into the organization to participate in the program, and we're going to get to that later. Right now, what I'd like to do is put my attention on Randy and Jensen, and give them the floor here for a few minutes. I'm just going to shoot them some questions every once in a while, but I want them to share from their perspective and from their hearts, their story, their journey. So in their journey, they've gone through a lot. And so Randy, starting with you, tell us a little bit about your journey or your childhood, where you come from perhaps, and some of the things that you've dealt with.
Okay, well, my name is Randy Suniga. I'm from the Hopi Reservation out in towards Tuba City, Arizona. I was born and raised there. I lived in a very toxic environment. My parents were alcoholics. My grandfathers, my grandmothers, my uncles, my aunts, all were alcoholics. So I kind of grew up into this. You know, it was a very bad and toxic environment. I remember every weekend they used to have parties, and just people drunk every day. Sometimes it would be 2 weeks straight. I have 3 sisters, one older sister. She was really never a part of our life until we got into our, teens, is when we finally connected back with her. But I remember growing up, I used to watch over my younger sisters a lot, so I had to kind of grow up fast.
Okay.
And my environment was very toxic. Living in that kind of environment, is just bad people around. The people are there to hurt you, whatever. But I was, molested at a young age. I was just, people bring you down, just bad everywhere. So, when I going to school, I've always always wanted to be in school because of that environment. I never wanted to go home, never wanted to be a part of that.
Okay.
So I just wanted to stay as far as away from that, and my safe place was school. And when I used to be in school, I never wanted to be a part of my family. I even got to the point where I even talked to a teacher and asked them that I wanted to be placed in a different home because I wasn't comfortable there at all.
Wow.
So just living that life, I always told myself I never wanted to be, wanted to do that growing up, drinking, drugging, until, then I started, my mom passed, and is when I really got into using meth, and that's when I became addicted into using meth. I was probably on meth for over maybe more than 10 years, I'm going to say.
Wow.
But now that I've been clean for over 3 years, I'm in a very good place in my life where I don't want to look back. I want to continue to move forward, and I want to continue, like what you do is you want to help others, and that's where my heart is at. I do want to help others just like you do. So that's where my goal, what I want to continue to do moving forward.
Wow, Randy, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. So it sounds like what I heard, and I think that probably a lot of people can hear and relate, is that at a young age you were battling with generational curses.
Oh yes,
is what I call them. Right?
Yes.
It's things that are just passed down in our families, and we can't help it, especially as kids when we're born into those types of environments. And then like you said, it got so bad that you sought refuge at your school. You wanted to be away from your family, and school was a safe place for you.
Safe place for me.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing. That's your journey.
Oh yes.
Okay, we're gonna get to the rest. Jensen, your turn. You're up. Tell us a little bit about your journey before you entered the program.
Okay, so I grew up in Prescott, Arizona, where I spent most of my childhood was there. My mom, my stepdad, and my sister. A little bit later, my sister, my eldest sister, ended up bringing my nephew to come live with us as well. So it's just the five of us, and we had typical household, like drinking on the weekends and stuff like that. It wasn't too crazy until about the age of 8 is when my stepdad started to drink a lot, so we were abused as children as well. Then around 11 years old, my middle sister, Malia, ended up passing away. And I had a tough struggle with that because she was one of my favorite sisters. I knew her for a very short amount of time. Growing up, she had already moved out of the house, and so it was just me and my closest sister. And I got to know her for about a year before she passed away.
Wow. Okay.
So after that happened, I started to get into drugs and alcohol. And that became a big part of my teenage years, so much so that I was getting arrested a lot and I would run away from home. So eventually it became decided that my mother couldn't handle me and my other siblings at the time. So I was placed into foster care when I was about 12 years old. And I was in the foster system until I aged out at 18.
Wow.
So I spent time in Tucson and Flagstaff, in Sacaton. I had been in rehab several times before I ended up, turning 18. So I've had a pretty wild life, I'd like to say. I learned a lot of lessons younger than I should have. But I got a lot of that out of my system so that by the time I was an adult, 18 years old, I had a clean record. I didn't have anything hanging over me that way. But I still had a lot of that angst left over, so I ended up getting in with the wrong crowd as an adult, and And I ended up getting into harder and harder drugs, heroin, methamphetamine. I did LSD for like 4 months straight. Not a good idea, by the way.
Not a good idea.
Not a good idea. I was just very reckless with
Put the LSD down.
with my life. Yeah, I was very reckless with my decisions. And then it got to the point where a few years ago, I ended up in a really, really depressed state. I had lost my job. I ended up having to move back in with my mother. And when I got up to my reservation, I thought it was going to be more of a cultural experience, like finally getting back to my roots, getting to know my tribe and stuff like that, maybe learning my language, learning more about my culture. But turns out that there wasn't a whole lot of that out there for me as far as teacher-wise, as far as role model-wise, and it was just a lot of drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
And a lot of really, really sad people, really angry people, and I kind of let that get to me, and I became the same type of person. Before I had moved out to the reservation, I was a very optimistic person. I was very perky. I was very outgoing. But early on, I learned that nobody was really like that there, and they didn't really like people like that there. You kept to yourself, you stuck to your own business.
Sure.
Yeah, and you didn't just put yourself out there. It was a very reserved community,
right.
Which I thought was weird because it's like we're a tribe. We're all supposed to be connected. We're supposed
family,
to be,
sure.
Family.
Right.
But even family was distant,
Wow.
So it got to the point where I just couldn't stand it anymore. I was depressed. I had tried to commit suicide. I was on antidepressants. I ended up going to a mental hospital here down in the valley for like a month just to try to get myself right again,
Sure.
And I left there feeling great about, my future, about my perspectives. I had, gotten some coping skills there that were going to help me when I got back to my reservation. But as soon as I got back, I just got back into that same pattern,
thing.
that same
Sure.
thing.
Right.
And I had decided that it was a time to make a change for myself, for my life.
Right.
I needed to get out of that environment. I needed to do something with my life. I wasn't getting any younger. And I was tired of being in a state of needing others for anything. I wanted to start doing things for myself. I wanted to be independent. And I wanted to prove to myself that I could make something of myself, even though it was a little bit late at that point, like 26, 27.
Right.
I still had something to give out there. I still had something to prove to myself as well as to others.
Amazing. So two journeys of two different people, right? And going through environmental roadblocks, going through generational curses, going through all the things that sometimes we feel is stacked up against us. The odds are against you at some points in your life. At least that's the way we feel, right? And we have two restoration and redemption, Jensen and Randy, with us sharing their journey and how they fell deeper into what I'm going to call darkness. Okay, and at some point. And Jensen is saying that even through that, he had something in his mind that said he wanted to do something different and do something better. And Randy has shared with me, even at his rock bottom, even at some of his most depressed and most despair moments, something in him just said, I need help. And so at some point, both of you reached out to Dignity Behavioral Health, who is a residential behavioral health program here in the Valley. And you both got admitted, you got approved and admitted into the program. Tell us a little bit about, from the day you entered into a program designed to help you through to today, how has that journey been?
Okay, well, for me, me coming from the reservation and knowing about this program, I didn't know anything about this program. I didn't even know programs like this existed. I got introduced to this by my little sister. She was the one that was already in recovery before I was. And so when I decided to go, I was just open-minded. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And when they came and picked us up, I was scared. I was very scared. I didn't know what kind of people were there. I didn't know if we would be able to sleep at night, because what I was thinking was I was going to be in a hospital with a lot of mental other people that are like coming down, and because I've seen all that and I've been around that, so I was scared. And when I got to where they were going to pick us up at, as we're on our way here to Phoenix, is where I got to talk to you over the phone. I don't know if you remember that, but you were very straight and honest and forward, and you told us exactly what was going to happen in the program and what we needed to do to stay in the program. And I was just like, wow, like this guy is just straight up. Like there was no hiding behind the bush or try to sugarcoat anything.
Yeah.
You said it how it was going to be, and I was like, wow. So when we pulled up to this 2-story house, and me coming from the reservation, we're not nowhere near what we're living to this day. And I thought, we were going to be in a hospital when we pulled up to this house. And I asked my little sister, I said, oh, we're at someone's home. And she's like, no, this is where we're going to stay, you know?
Yeah.
And to me, I was just like, oh my God, like this is like a castle to me, from where I come from. We live in traditional homes where it's just clay and rocks.
Yeah.
And to pull up to this 2-story house I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And then when I went inside, just the staff alone was so welcoming, and just that first connection you have with your staff was the most, to me, was love. All of that was just pure love.
Wow.
And when you come into a place like that, and you didn't come from a place like that, it really does something to your heart. So when I got there, I was just like, wow. And when when I was there a couple weeks, there was a few things that were already happening. And I was just like, oh, I was thinking to myself, oh, I could have did this at home. I could have just stayed away from everybody. But, time has passed, and there was a couple of times where I did want to, like, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? Like, we're just kind of hanging out, getting to know other people. And as time went on, I learned a lot. I learned how to deal with different things. Like triggers. I learned how to deal with myself, especially because, me being in addiction, I didn't know myself. And it gave me a lot of time to get to know myself, how to love myself, how to respect myself, how to set up boundaries, how to communicate with others, and how to help others. And, I really enjoyed this program so much that I want to be a part of this program for the rest of my life, because this is what I feel like other people need. Because when I got into this program, I didn't know anything about this program. So I know there's a lot of other people on the reservations that still don't know about this program. So I feel like I should be the one to help go out and do outreach and get people to understand that there is programs like this that are willing to help and that are here for the right reasons.
That's awesome.
And as long as you're willing to do the part, you're willing to succeed in your life, and they're willing to help you in a lot of places that you need help in. And I'm very thankful for that. So thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Jensen, how has it been since you arrived?
It's been pretty great, actually. As I said before, like I had been in other programs as well as a younger kid. Most of them were like clinical programs, though. Nothing really on the residential side. It was a different setting, definitely. I had never been in like a house with a lot of different people in it.
Strangers.
Yeah, a lot of different strangers, really. But as soon as I knew that I was coming down, I changed my mindset to accept new things, to be open to starting over new. I had definitely started over a few times by then. So like I knew the drill, just I got to refresh myself and get ready to be more open.
Yeah.
I got down here, and like you said, it was a beautiful house. Very welcoming staff. Right away, I already knew Randy and his little sister. So
Sure.
Yeah. So I was a little bit more comfortable than, like moving someplace where I didn't know anybody. They had nothing but good things to say when I had tried to reach out, looking for a place to go. At that point, I was just willing to go anywhere. But the way that Quinn had made this sound it was amazing. You know, like it was a really good place where they really, really helped you. So when I came down, I was kind of keeping to myself. I'm not gonna lie. As part of that, lingering mindset of where I was before was still kind of with me. Like I was trying to be open, but at the same time, I was reserved. Guarded. I was reserved. Sure. It only took maybe a couple weeks before I started to open up, before I really started to get my personality back, who I was before I had gotten into that dark state of mind. And I liked everything that they taught at the program. I definitely appreciated being with other sober individuals, you know, and we all had a struggle that we were going through, and somehow we still managed to be considerate of each other, and we still managed to help each other with those issues that we were having. You know, someone's having a bad day, another would go out and talk with them, help them get over, you know, or just let them vent to you, you know, like it was definitely good to have that back. Whereas before, like if you had a problem, you were supposed to keep it to yourself, you know, you weren't supposed to make waves. And here it was different. It was definitely very helpful to have that in my first few months. And then it got to the point where like, oh, you know, your 3 months is up. You can decide to stay or you can decide to go. And I was just like, well, what am I really going back to if I leave? Like,
I remember that. Sure.
Am I at that point in my life where I feel I can handle this, you know, going back? Do I want to go back? Like, So I was like, you know what? I'm going to stick it out for another 6 months. Or, you know, 3 months. And I was like, you know, 3 months turned into 6 months. And then I was like, you know what? I need to keep going up, you know, like I need to get a job. So I got a job at a local grocery store, and, you know, I was doing something that I loved. I was working with flowers, making arrangements, you know, helping with weddings, funerals, you know, birthdays. It was nice to be there for people's important moments. And that made me feel like I was doing something, you know, to significantly impact someone else's life, you know, like even if just for a day, you know, getting to know my community a little bit more. That was nice as well. And then I just kept going from there. And I like talking to the clients now, knowing that I'm in a different place that they are. Like, they still have those same questions that I had when I came in. And
for sure.
It's great to know that I can actually answer some of those questions for them. You know, It's good to know that they look at me for advice and for guidance. And whereas before, like, I couldn't even guide my own life. I couldn't even give myself advice. And now it's like I'm in a place where people actually want to listen to me and they take what I say to heart. And it's different from being a drug addict that nobody pays attention to or that they try to sweep under the rug. You know, like now my family talks about me, you know, like, but not in the negative way. Like, they talk about my achievements and they talk about where I'm going, and like.
It sounds like you were redeemed. It sounds like your reputation. It sounds like you were lifted. It sounds like, to me, and I congratulate both of you. You know, I do that all the time because, you know, your guys's, the process, your commitment to the process. Both of you are speaking, and I'm hearing commitment. There was something inside of you said, I need to be committed to myself, number one, and to becoming into change, right? And we all know, and with the staff and everybody else, that, you know, you guys didn't have great days every day. You know, there was days when you know, you probably felt like leaving. You know, there's days when you may have stumbled, right? And so, again, you know, I always congratulate you. I respect you and I admire you. You guys have overcome something that is truly a great story, part of your journey. So thank you for committing to the process. And Dignity Behavioral Health, DBOTC Treatment Center, all of us who have been around you for these 2 years, almost 3 years for you. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. You guys are the reason why. I tell you that all the time. You know, I tell you the story of extending my hand, right? And you guys grasped it and came in, right? And so that's really what we do. That's why we do. So let's talk about that journey, right? Overcoming, right? Darkness, all the circumstances of life, okay? accepting the extended hand and going into it, committing to a process, committing to change. And it's ugly, I'm sure, during your process. And some of the people you had to talk to and rip back all that pain, you know, and some of those layers and become vulnerable, right?
Oh, yeah.
But what's after your journey and your awakening? So now we get to celebrate, okay? And I always have you guys in my stories and celebrating the fact, because not only have you made it this far, but you're excelling. Randy wanted a job. Randy went out and got a job. And you've been working on a job for how long now, Randy?
It's going on a year in February 12th.
And when was the last time you've had that long of a work history?
It's been a minute. Yeah. So
right.
I'm very proud of myself. And yeah.
Absolutely. So working in a job, and everybody, all of you heard Randy's passion. Randy and I share, we're kindred spirits in the passion of extending a helping hand, right? In a certain way. Everybody, a lot of people have that same gumption, but they do it in different methods. But Randy specifically, he's so passionate about going back and helping the people that are still stuck in the dirt and in the mud that he has committed to come on board. And he's now working as a staff member. He came in as in one state and has built all the way up to become the person who receives people with the love that he spoke of. And so Randy now is coming on full time. He's in the process of coming full time on with DBOTC and with Dignity Behavioral Health, and he's going to and we're going to use him for his purpose. What he's passionate about, we're going to put him. I call it the right person in the right role, and we're going to get Randy in full time, working, and able to turn around and reach out and help somebody else. So thank you, Randy, and welcome aboard. You're with me forever,
yes.
Right? And now to Jensen as well, who also went through his journey and his awakening and his commitment to process and everything that Jensen did, and he just kind of let the beans out of the bag just a little bit early. He's working with a grocery store who he went in and just started in a small department, right? Floral department, and they recognized his abilities. Because sometimes we have people around us that recognize things in us before even we do, right? And so they recognize something in Jensen. I can imagine, because I've been in leadership, and I'm always looking at the abilities and skills of people on the staff. And so someone recognized something in Jensen so much that they moved him from one department quick, like within how long?
Well, like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, like 3 or 4 months. He's barely past his probational period, and they move him into another department. And then after how long until you moved up to management?
Like about another 2 months.
Another 2 months. We're less than 6 months in, for goodness sakes, and this guy's knocking it out of the park, right? So they move him up to management inside of this department. So much so, man, redemption. So much so that this whole the store, right, is a beacon, is a pillar. Right, people around the area come to this store to see how they operate, to see how they're doing things. This store is a flagship of the organization. Okay, and Jensen specifically is part of that entire movement, is part of that entire organization that is a pillar amongst the rest of the stores, right? In the whole chain, and so we want to congratulate Jensen. He's in there. They're looking at you for other positions, correct?
Yes, another management position, a little bit higher up than the one that I'm currently
You know what I'm saying,
at,
right? He's after my job, and so we congratulate him. That is what it's all about. That's what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we're here for, right? These are stories. This is living proof of what it is to commit to something, to reach out, allow people to help you. As I said last time, my whole life changed when I allowed people to help me. We have prime examples here of people who were battling all types of things in life and didn't say that defined them. Instead said, I'm something different. And if I can't get what I need here, I'm going to move and go somewhere else where they will help me address these things that I want to overcome. Is that accurate? I want to make sure I'm not speaking for.
Yes.
Absolutely. And so I wanted them to come and just share, because a lot of you out there may have someone that had the same struggles as them, or as I tell them, I may not have struggled with the same struggles as them, but we have same things that we go in life because of those emotions, and all of our struggles come out. And they've had the same emotions that I have, being lonely, thinking nobody's looking out for them, thinking their environment environment is going to hold them back and stop them from the things that they want to achieve. All of those things we share, and that's how all of us can talk about how we were successful. Does that make sense? And so I just want to congratulate both of you. I just want to say thank you for coming and helping us. You don't realize that you helped me too. You help motivate me and inspire me every day to keep doing what I'm doing, to keep building and keep hiring people that have the same heart that you guys are speaking of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think I want to say thank you too, because I wouldn't have be in this position right now that I'm sitting here, because it's just because of your hand, and I took that help. And a lot of people got to understand that when someone's there to help, you need to have just let faith take over from that point on and go with it, because there's a lot of people out there that hurt you, and there's a lot of people out there to hurt you. But when you're at the right moment, at the right time, take that hand and go with it. Because I'm very, very thankful that I'm in this position at this time, and where, I was in the dark for so long, and now that I get to live this life that I never thought I would have, I get to wake up every morning just praying, just to see the birds, smell the fresh air in the morning. I get up every morning, it's 6 o'clock, and, pray outside traditionally with no shoes on, just to touch my feet on the ground, and just to have that connection.
Yes.
And to thankful for everything in my life from this point on, because I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't your company. And I really want to say thank you for that. And thank you for being there and guiding me in this direction. And I'm very proud of myself, and I'm very proud of my housemate here, Jensen, that, we came a long way, and we, just came from this place of darkness. And now that we get to live this life that other people can experience. And as long as you have faith in yourself and have that determination that, we deserve this. We deserve this.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yes, thank
absolutely.
you.
Welcome to the light, Randy.
Thank you.
It's also a very humbling process, putting aside your ego and just going with the flow, going with what others think is right for you, but you're not really seeing it at the point, but eventually it all, fits together. It clicks into place, and it's definitely all because of you. Like, you're doing a great job with helping others, and you're building your company up. And I remember first coming here, you only had one house. Now you got 3, 4, 3.
It's a secret.
Like, it's definitely great to see you building your company up, and it's great to know that we are a part of that, like, and I hate to say it, but like, I'm obviously not going to be here forever, but I would really want to know where you're going to be at in like 10 years,
right.
How far you can take this, because your hand has really reached out to so many, and like, to see people come and go, like, some people stay, some people don't, some people are serious, some people aren't,
Right.
But just to know that you're offering your help to everyone, and that they don't have to fear having to come back. We've seen several people who had to come back, when you open them back with welcome arms, you don't judge them, you don't place labels on anybody.
Absolutely.
You're just there to help when they need the help, if
Awesome.
they need the help.
If they accept it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
It's their own decision. We've talked about that. Okay, well, thank you both for that. Randy almost got me, but he didn't, so I'm good. I just, we can sit here and do this all day long. You guys know we do. We always do. But you know how much I appreciate you, and I receive the reciprocated appreciation. The law of reciprocation is what I call it, right? And so I'm just going to give, and you guys give back. I just want you to know that. So I thank you. Thank you for coming on the Onealien Show. Thank you for sharing your story and being vulnerable and being humble, right? Because it's not easy. It's not easy opening ourselves up, But I trust and do believe that someone listening today is going to see something and it's going to help them. And that's all we can do, right? So thank you guys, man. I really appreciate it. Randy Sanuga and Jensen
Nasafote
on the Onealien Show. We'll be right back. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I'm going to wrap it up here real quick. So let me just say, I thank you for listening. I thank you for all your feedback on the original show. This is John O'Neill, the host of the Onealien Show. We will be here every week. I will have guests coming in and sharing their stories, their journey, and their awakening, and how their successes and their failures and things that they're dealing with. And it's all in the spirit of helping you who are listening and helping you who are watching. These guys, man, I'll tell you, they amaze me every day, and they've heard it from day one. Randy's right. We're a straight shooter because I know what it takes. I know what it takes. And whether it be within my organization and some of the residents and clients who come in that direction, whether it be during a one-on-one session that you could schedule and you and I talk personally, professionally or personally, no matter what it is, people know the Onealien Show represents straight shooting. We're uncut. We're going to bring the real. We're just human beings. We're imperfect every day. We make mistakes. I tell them all the time, I'm no perfect. That's why Jez is right. We can't judge. How can I judge this man right here when I'm just as imperfect, okay? Just be, right? Don't try. Don't cover it up. We know you're imperfect, right? So we might as well just be real with ourselves, okay? We're just trying to become better. This is the Onealien Show. These are my guests. I got more guests coming next time. Randy and Jensen, thanks for stopping by. I hope you got something out of today, and I'll be back next week. Everyone, Onealien, I'm out.